Hi everyone, please let me live here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Rammstein album, Zeit. They are back again, one of Germany's heaviest musical exports, and best, also one of the most influential bands in industrial metal, Rammstein, with a record that shows their return after a 10-year studio album hiatus was no fluke. They are giving us another here to chew on, their 8th in fact, one that I was hoping would be stronger than that self-titled comeback, cause some returns for groups and artists can be a little rough at first, but eventually smoothing out or improving as, you know, the gears start turning again. Maybe on this new record, Rammstein could recapture some old school magic or try something entirely new. But I was sad to find that a lot of this LP doesn't really go beyond checking some of the basic boxes of expectations that you may have for any Rammstein record. Those chunky, punctuated riffs, the heavy drums, all of course topped by Till Lindemann's expressive, gravelly spoken lines, as well as deep and bellowing, almost operatic cleans. These things are key elements to much of the band's music, yes. And I would also argue that Till's vocals at this point in the band's discography are really serving as like the heart of the band. They continue to be one of the best and most consistent aspects of their sound. I couldn't possibly imagine a different singer fronting this band at this point. So yes, on this LP in many ways, Rammstein is up to their old tricks again. They're about the only band I can name that will work into the same track list a passionate ode to the night and also a total rager about fucking without a condom. The end result is a track list that's a weird but trademark mix of songs that are deeply profound, but then also very tongue-in-cheek and incredibly horny. Still, I will say there are some very interesting song concepts and vocal performances across the record. There's Meine Tränen, which is a very slow anthemic tune that sees a man reflecting on his relationship with his mother, which at points, as it is described, seems very emotionally distant, sometimes abusive. There's also LUGEN, another very thoughtful moment in the track list about lying to others, lying to yourself. The whole track seems like an exploration of how deep deceit can go. The track also reaches a lot of very emotional and instrumental highs as they introduce some pounding riffs and some auto-tune on Till's vocals that actually sounds amazing as he's screaming his brains out. However, there are quite a few moments in the track list as well that don't come off, I think, as clever or as funny as they might have wanted to. The song Zigzag, for example, is knowingly cheeky, but maybe still a bit too eager to reductively assert plastic surgery bad, plastic surgery bad. Meanwhile, the song Dicke Titten reads like a nice guy incel just musing about his ideal partner on some message board somewhere. And some of the ironic, heavenly instrumental transitions on the track do add to the humor of it, as do the oompa beer music horn sections. But ultimately, I don't think there's anything really too sharp or clever about this track. It's kind of what you see is what you get. So yeah, there are some tracks topically and conceptually that I'm not crazy about, but still, for the most part, I think the band is approaching this record with some good ideas, at least in terms of, you know, what we're talking about on the lyrical side. On the instrumental side, sometimes I'm feeling quite starved, frankly, because we do get some very plucky and prominent flavorless synthesizers here and there on the record, on tracks like Zigzag as well as GIFTIG, which honestly really makes me miss the days earlier in the band's discography when they would very creatively work in elements of electronic dance music, from different synth patches to different grooves and beats to rhythm samples. And I know in my heart that those days have very much been long gone since, like, you know, Mutter. In fact, the opener on this new LP would actually complement the track list of that record very well. But God, am I dying for a taste of something else other than these fat walls of riffs and tacky synths. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the guitar work on Rammstein's records has never been like super flashy or anything like that, and for the most part here they are fine, but they do come off so unsupported and overpowering that there's not really a whole lot of room for much else. And what nuances do make it into the mix aren't always the best. Like, for example, the title track, which, you know, I love the lyrical musings on the song about how cruel and awful time can be, but the sterile pianos that set the whole track up, as well as the, like, you know, 007 style guitars that are kind of grinding away in the background in the build-up, they both sound terrible. Still, that very heavy and pumped up sound does come in handy for tracks like ANGST, for example, which showcases one of the band's most enraged performances on a track ever. And I would say overall in key moments on this project, the band is sounding like they're kicking way more ass than they were on the last LP. Overall, I would say Zeit is an improvement on the self-titled. The band is bringing some more captivating song topics and performances this time around, but the instrumentals and some of the writing are still lacking in nuance, in detail, and color. It does leave this album feeling a little bit one-dimensional by the end of it, even if there is kind of an even mix here of aggressive bops and kind of slow burners. And sure, the group's most key characteristics are still intact to this day, but I still left this project wanting more because I was kind of hoping they would, build on some of these elements in some way significantly. Feeling a strong 6 on this project. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Rammstein, forever.